I have terrible news for all of you. Do you know you're probably not as approachable as you think you are to your employees? You're coming in, you got your coffee, you're on the phone, you're moving, you're shaking, you're doing all this shit. You're like, guys, just ask me. I'm always here for you.
The door's always open. Get the fuck out.
You're the fucking Tasmanian devil. I mean, it's just like, oh man, I really don't want to bother Dave, or I really don't want to come to this question that Dave kind of explained, like,
SEO's dead, mailing's dead, traditional media's dead. What the fuck are people going to do in 2025?
I think problems business owners have is they're always looking for something new. We don't look in the mirror a lot and just see like what is actually working right now.
Yeah.
And how do I lean more into that? Like at Dope, we hear a lot like, so what can you guys do differently than other companies? What's the thing that makes you, and like everyone's got to have their unique value proposition. But when I like to turn it around on business owners is just like, tell me about the things that are working in your company so we can add to that versus having some new like creative idea that no one's heard of, because we're not engineers. We're not inventors. A lot of times I think in business, you got to look more like, how can I steal like an artist? How can I be inspired by something either that I'm doing well to do another version of that, or look at my competition, someone I met at a trade show, a speaker that I heard, and kind of put your spin on something that's working for someone else, like an artist.
I love that. Y'all in for a real treat today. You're back for another episode of the Mission Control Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stearns, with Ascend Digital Agency. Shout out to the team at Roofer. Look at roof measurement, instant roof quotes, proposals, CRM, whatever you need. Hit the team up at Roofer. There's going to be a link down in the description. They'll know I sent you. You'll be glad that you did. David Carroll, Dope Marketing. Up in this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I love this.
I love you, Mike.
You should do this more often.
I would love to.
You got to take my calls.
Every other call.
He's a tough guy to get a hold of. Very busy. Right? I understand, priorities. Anywho, we got a banger today. I want to talk about data, right? A lot of the times, I think mail falls into like traditional marketing. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the times, the apprehension with those marketing mediums is I can't track it. I talk about this all the time. If it fits into a spreadsheet, I can look at my P&L, I look at it, and I can make sense of it. Especially with contractors, they love direct attribution, this dollar in, this many dollars out.
Of course.
And it's not always that easy. Not with SEO, not with some of the advertising that we do, not with print. But like, is there data? You don't have data for mail or for customers, right?
We do. We do.
Okay. Let's talk more about that.
So just like simplicity, let's say that when you start the year January 1st, let's just use even numbers. You have 1,000 contacts in your CRM that were in your database before. Mm-hmm. One metric I never hear business owners talk about, it's always, what's my ROI? How do I get a good return? What's my thing? When a lot of people I don't think can spell ROI. It's about what data did you have the month before and what new data did you add? How much value are you putting in a new contact added to your CRM every month and then looking at that journey? I'm like, oh, great. That sounds easy. But when it comes to something like direct mail, you have an address of where you sent mail. You have addresses in your CRM. So there's either an address in your CRM that you sent mail to and they were already there, or you sent mail and that address wasn't in your CRM. Now it's about following that path. Like how long does it take a customer or how long does it take a lead or a prospect to become a customer? How many business owners can answer that off the drop of a dime? Yep, I know what a lead costs. I know what it costs for a conversion. But what's that timeline of someone first getting exposed to your brand?
And we're not talking about you just spitting off a number that cannot be substantiated. Because this happens a lot of time. You start talking about GP, net profit. And it's like, I do 43% and 18%. And it's like, okay, well, let's check on that.
What I love, it's almost like the fitness trend. 5 years ago, it was a little bit cooler to go out and do the late night and the networking at 2 a.m. And now you get to these shows 5 years later, especially in the roofing space, and you're like, these people are waking up early, working out. Like it's not, times are changing. And I think like when you look at the change in business owners being focused on their data, you hear a lot more like people know these numbers. It's cool now to understand this information in your company. But a lot of times that can come with analysis paralysis. Like you might be really good at putting a roof on. You might not be an accountant. And so understanding like what metrics matter when you're holding yourself or your marketing agency accountable for like, what is my return on investment? I spent $1, what's coming back? Can you answer the question of, I think, the timeline of a lead to a prospect? Because as time goes on, it's harder to track this stuff because there's more information out there. But I think specifically for direct mail, you know you're sending to an address. If that address wasn't in your CRM, how long did it take an address you mailed the first week of January to turn into a lead, to turn into a job? And that's something we really focus on.
Okay, so I own a roofing company. I'm sending direct mail for 6 months. How do I leverage? Let's assume I've understood that journey. I've got this information. How do I leverage that into a situation where now I'm getting more business because I'm acutely aware of what that timeline and progression looks like?
So let's talk about the customer of a roofing business. So there's 350 million people in the United States, about 90 million homeowners. And the average homeowner will live in their house for 5 to 7 years. And more often than not, a roofing company will only deal with that customer one time. You know, you have maintenance, you have repairs, you have gutter cleaning, you have stuff like that. But let's just say on average, Mike's roofing business is going to deal with Dave, the homeowner, one time in that cycle. Well, now you look at like, where is that home? You know, we're all, whether you're in Miami or Manhattan or Mena, Arkansas, depending on the size of your market, it's like, what I think as business owners, we get really focused on growth. And as we all know, especially in home service, everyone needs a roof. Everyone could use windows. Everyone could get siding put on. But who's your perfect customer? Like, who are you focusing on? And a study that I like to reference a lot is that Harvard Business School study. Harvard told us it takes 7 to 11 touches for a cold consumer to remember a brand. We did a case study at Dope over the past 4 years, and the average local business is only getting 2 to 4 touches on their target ideal customer. And so when you look at like, what's the focus for a roofing business owner? I just believe inherently that you should be focused more on the neighborhoods you're working in. Not only because people have things in common, right? Mike and Dave live next door to each other. What do we know? We're probably around the same age. We might have kids the same age. We probably make the same amount of money because we can afford to live in the same neighborhood. Like, that's all good and great to make that profile. But let's take it a step further. These homes were built probably around the same year, of probably around the same materials, by probably 3 to 5 of the same builders in that area. So when we go into maintenance, improvements, or upkeep, some of the biggest investments that a homeowner will ever make in their life, you're historically likely going to have the same problems as your neighbor. I think roofing, whether you're in retail or you're in more of an insurance market, you get so focused on getting big fast, and it's not as dialed in of like, where am I more likely to fix the same problem? And 9 out of 10 times, it's simply in the neighborhoods you're already working in. And sadly, roofing business owners, it's like popcorn marketing. They're trying to do it all over the place instead of inherently focusing on just like, back to the first question, where am I doing something right now? And how do I keep focusing on that, the slow grind, versus like, there's some other opportunity over here that I'm not seeing, the consistency.
It's a really well thought out answer. It's all, and this is not scripted, but I feel a lot like you've been asked that question before.
Once or twice. I mean, here's the thing. Direct mail, the print industry is ran by 70-year-old fat guys who suck at golf, whose kids don't want to work for them. Like, there's not a lot of innovation. There's not a lot of like advanced thinking. It's send out a bunch of mail, cross your fingers, kind of hope you get a result. And maybe you do that every month. Maybe you do it every quarter.
Sure.
But now it's like, what's the matching? What's the attribution? What's the strategy? I feel very strongly that the data in your business will tell a story if you simply take it.
But you got to read the book.
And first have to like, let's go. Probably 80% of us are some level of dyslexic as business owners, but it's like, you have to give yourself the time and the discipline to actually look at the right metrics. Like I was saying a second ago, it's cool now to know your data more than it was 5 years ago, but it's like, what are the things that you're focused on? And I think understanding, like, if you look at a neighborhood, whether there's 100 homes in that neighborhood or 500 homes in that neighborhood, how often are we asking ourselves as business owners, like, where do I have the most jobs in the closest proximity? And how much am I focusing my attention in those areas versus just dumping more money into Google or mail or Facebook or something else without really understanding the path.
The pay to go away mentality.
Exactly.
I have this issue. I don't have enough leads. Mike, let me give you more money to run more ads. You need a lot of things. More ads right now isn't one of them. I said this on the podcast with Antonelli yesterday. But so here's the thing. That requires one, reading the story of your data. And a lot of folks don't do that. And for the folks that do that, not all of them do anything after they read the book, right? I read this book. I'm super excited. Rah, rah. Nothing comes on.
Or even another problem. You get it as the owner because you're doing your late night weekend grind, the stuff that we do as owners, but that information is not getting to anyone. One of the problems we've had at Dope Marketing is, as fast as we've grown over the past 4 years, is like our leadership conversations sometimes stay in those walls. It doesn't get out to the rest of the team. And so you can be doing all this analysis at the owner, as we know, that can be grueling, painstaking work. Crack open your HubSpot, your AccuLinks, your Job Nimbus, your whatever, and you're in there doing work. But if you do that 3-hour grind session, you don't tell anyone about it. Like, where did that time really go?
And to be fair, it's very easy to forget that nobody fucking knows that but you.
Or can't read your fucking mind.
I'm like, at a son, I'm like, hey, Charlie, why didn't we do this? It's like, I didn't know you wanted to do that.
Well, Mike, unfortunately, when you hired me, I didn't have on my resume that I'm fucking Miss Cleo.
Yeah, you're right. It was 3 a.m. and I didn't tell anybody about it. That makes sense. That's my bad, Charlie.
I was talking the other day. I was actually with Dan Antonelli. I was talking about one of the biggest problems that a business owner can have is expectations. An expectation is nothing but a letdown, because if you expect something from someone and you told them and they do it, you never considered
sounds like
it.
my fucking therapist right now.
you never consider up to $800 an hour. Start the timer, guys. So it's like when you lay out an expectation for someone, if they do it and you have a relationship from them, you had expectations, you never think about it. You thought it, they did it, you're all good. But if you had an expectation for someone, my friend Mike, I expected you to do so, and
my
you
friend
didn't
Dave, I
do
expect you to pick up the phone.
Yeah, half the time. Again, on the clock.
You got to round up, bro.
Watch out.
Hey.
But the idea is, if I have an expectation and you don't do it, well, now I have some type of feeling about that.
Right.
But the biggest problem with expectations is communicating your expectation. And it goes into this same thing. If I have an expectation that I know all this stuff and I'm moving and I'm shaking, I'm the owner, I have terrible news for all of you. Do you know you're probably not as approachable as you think you are to your employees? You're coming in, you got your coffee, you're on the phone, you're moving, you're shaking, you're doing all this shit. You're like, guys, just ask me. I'm always here for you.
The door's always open. But get the fuck out.
You're the fucking Tasmanian devil. I mean, it's just like, oh man, I really don't want to bother Dave, or I really don't want to come to this question that Dave kind of explained. Like, a lot of times as visionaries, we fire hose. We go, okay, I know I'm not the best manager. I know I'm not the best at explaining things all the time. So if I just dump everything I'm thinking, at least someone can know where I'm at. Well, a lot of times when we fire hose, we're like, Mike, wasn't that hydrating? And your employee's not gonna be like, no, dude, I wasn't thirsty. I'm fucking drowning right now.
Also, my face is bleeding. Yeah.
So it's like, there's a level of accountability that you have to have for yourself when you're going through these projects, especially the ones like, one exercise that you could do very quickly is simply when you have a tear, a burner, an idea, something you're working on, pause, take a second and just be like, does anyone understand what I'm trying to do here? And if I had a brand new employee start for my business tomorrow, and I was trying to explain this idea, let's even take a step back. What's onboarding? What's training? What's their role? What am I asking them for? How close are you letting people to your ideas?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, again, as a visionary, to just come across as this hopped up fucking psychopath that's on all these tears.
I'm sure Christian can substantiate that.
Soccer ball. Little bit.
We got a soccer ball in my office and I just fucking kick it into the wall 30 yards across the office.
What does that mean? Come in my office and film something?
Yeah. I'm like, guys, you can feel free to kick the soccer ball too. If you put a hole in the drywall, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
Understanding the love language of a business owner is important, but no one knows how to speak that language until you tell them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think one of the greatest opportunities for contractors is collaboration with other contractors that are selling the same homeowners, maybe at the same time, maybe at different times. And that lack of collaboration hurts the growth opportunity for a lot of companies. And it hurts your net profit, because if you could land more jobs with a lower cost per acquisition, that's going to drip down to the bottom line.
Everyone wins.
And that's huge. So it starts with a conversation. Do you see in your space, you guys do a ton of mailing campaigns, homeowners, in my experience, tend to gravitate towards things that cost less. So if we can get our foot in the door with something that is of value and costs less money, it increases the likelihood that we're going to have a contact, an exposure to that customer, a meaningful exposure that could lead to an opportunity. Do you see any collaboration between, let's say, a power washing company and a roofer? Like, hey, for this, for $249, we're going to power wash your sidewalk, and you're going to get a roof inspection, a 22-point roof inspection, and it's a collaboration between two different companies trying to get in front of that same homeowner.
Two trains of thought here. So one is, we found that 8 out of 10 business owners operate their business in a market they've lived in for at least 10 years.
Okay.
Whether you grew up there, you moved there, you met your sweetheart there, like whatever the case is. So more often than not, a business owner has some level of ties to the community. We're actually doing a marketing panel today at this show that we're at. And one of the questions is like, do you have a list of contractors in your network that you refer work with, or what's a marketing strategy or some advice that we could give to a contractor to go down the same route of the problem you're talking about? I believe that every single contractor in any vertical, in any home service space, should have a list of their 5 to 10 preferred vendors for any other service, because what's better than a referral? You're feeding people layups, what's going to come back?
Yeah.
And so collaboration, cross-marketing, different deals or offers, they're great because we're in contracting. We're not in retail. So it's not like you're going to have a loss leader like when you walked into the Buckle 10 years ago in the mall and they got the cheap t-shirts in front to get you in because they got the True Religion shirts 4 for 20, whatever the fuck it is. So it's not like you're going to have a service that's an actual loss leader, meaning you actually take a loss when you do it. But I'll kind of combine my second point with the first one here. If you're watching this and you're a roofing contractor, why the fuck are you not doing gutter cleaning? Because I know companies like Eric Reno standing off to the side here.
Yes, sir.
What do you pay for a canvasser? A canvassing lead right now, if I had a canvassing lead for you in Michigan, $100 to $300
$300
all day?
Yeah, all day.
So what if instead you said, I'm going to run a gutter cleaning offer for $97 to $197, depending on how big your house is. And instead of paying the canvasser, you were getting paid. Put another truck on the road, train some guys up to have a trash bag and a hose to do some gutter cleaning. Now you're receiving the money, so you didn't pay for the lead, and that's good and great. Maybe, maybe not. We can all hopefully afford to buy leads. But let's go to the stat of it's 10 times cheaper or 10 times easier, whichever you prefer, to get someone to swipe their credit card a second time than a first time. Mm-hmm. So if I can run an offer, I'm a roofing company. I'm constantly running offers for gutter cleaning, because why? Instead of going to the gutter cleaning or the power washing company to say, hey, you can get a free estimate, they have to hit you, they have to do whatever, whether you're going to sub that gutter cleaning work out to your buddy or you're going to throw a truck on the road to do it yourself, you are now getting paid for a lead, building trust for a customer, and then let's go back to the neighboritis. You're in the neighborhood. Your truck's there, your sign's there. They saw your guys grabbing the Red Bull or their Zen packs or whatever at the gas station, the Facebook ad that got you there or the Google ad to do the gutter cleaning. You're already getting those 2 to 4 touches in that neighborhood if you land a job. But now if you take it further and say, what are other ways that I could provide value with the crews or the technicians or the relationships, back to the first point, that I have to grow my brand? Because this goes, I'm going to go on just a quick tangent. So like, people ask a lot, what's the difference between marketing and branding? And you get a lot of head scratching and some hemming and hawing. I'll make it really fucking easy. A marketing campaign has a budget, a timeline, and an offer. I'm going to assign a budget to a marketing campaign. I'm going to run this campaign for a certain amount of time, and I'm going to track the results to see during the length of that, what's my return on investment. I'm going to spend $3,000. I'm going to run this for a month. I'm going to use call tracking and QR, just all the metrics that are available. And I can see from that marketing campaign to about an 80 to 90% truth what leads or what jobs came from that campaign. Branding is the consistent work that you're doing to get someone to remember you. So when we talk to a client, Mike, what's your budget for advertising? Not marketing, not branding. Just because someone didn't call you right away from a campaign didn't mean that dollar was wasted.
Yeah, it does.
Talk to me.
If you ask 90% of the people. Masses, baby.
I think this is why marketing agencies exist. Because you started your business to power wash, roof, pick up dog poop, whatever your industry is. You're not a marketing expert, just like I'm not a roofing expert.
Yeah.
I know enough about roofing to have an intelligent conversation, like the business owner probably knows enough about marketing from their first couple of years in business if they had to do it on their own. But a lot of times, business owners have more of an opinion about marketing. And, you know, I use this line a lot, but like, Mike, what does the E in EIN stand for? When you go start your business, you get an EIN.
Employee or employer?
By definition. Yeah. But a lot of times we get on our way and it stands for ego. We let our ego, Mike, I think that this is the way this should go. Mike, I know that this is my opinion.
So let's be fair to contractors for a moment. You're a contractor. You've been in business for 3 years. Yep. You've gotten just entirely fucked by 7 marketing agencies that promise you the moon.
Let's talk about that in a minute.
I feel as if it's going to be very challenging to come in, be objective, and not have your guard up to where that opinion feels like you're a subject matter expert. How, if somebody's in that situation, do they take a step back? They don't carry the heartbreak from their last girlfriend into the new relationship and have it doomed from day one, but still protect themselves so they don't land in that same situation again.
So let's pause. Let's take a deep breath and let's think about when we got fucked and our girlfriend cheated on us and we spent this money and it didn't work and all these things. Can we hold ourselves accountable for what our expectations were? Did we communicate those properly? And look, this is not
Did we pay attention to the red flags? People will show you who
was
they
she
are.
Talking to your homie the whole time? was she texting late at night in bed? Was her privacy screen there when you started the relationship? Just all the things that we've gone through as scorned individuals. And it relates so much because it's like, look, one thing that you took the responsibility on when you got that EIN is it's all on you. That's why we went and did it probably.
Yeah.
You had a job, you worked for someone else, you wanted more time, you wanted to be with your family, like whatever the case was. But are you holding yourself accountable for giving up control? Because one of my mantras of this year has been to have real control is to give up all control.
Yeah.
Because if I can give up control about what do I expect, what is the result going to be, how is this going to happen? It's not that I'm just like, oh, fuck it, just let it happen. It's more like, Jeff, can you grab me a sweat rag or something? This is beating on me. It's like, the idea of laying out your expectations based on your previous experience, I just don't think it's something. Do like a bath towel, those things smell like ass. Thank you. I tried it last night. I still smell from it. The idea of the scorned individual being like, when I was dealing with this last marketing company, it didn't go right. Well, before you hire the next one, don't come in with that baggage first, right? Because you're not dealing with the same person. Maybe the analogy that it's your ex-girlfriend's friend might be true because it's the agency down the block or whatever. But it's like, thank you. But it's like, I just see it like, it's too common of a theme. And I think when you accept the responsibilities that you took on as a business owner, like, dude, 70% of your fucking ideas are going to be wrong. And a lot of times you live with that. But for some reason, when you go spend $1 and give it to someone else, it's 100% on them. The accountability isn't always there. And I think that if you lay out your expectations for a marketing company, it's not many marketing companies that let you go month to month. Because the relationship, it doesn't take 1 month to get results. And we won't get totally into that. But it's more like, I use marketing agencies for dope, for our digital, for our Google, for our website stuff, for all of it, because I'm not an expert in those things. And so it's like, I've had things go good. I've had things go bad. But what I've learned to train myself at the end of the result is just like, where did I contribute to the success or the failure.
Yeah.
And just like anything in business, nothing's going to be perfect, but how do I just keep getting it better? If I can take those last 3 to 5 agencies, I got fucked over, it wasn't good, bad relationship, whatever. If I look back on those, what do I expect? What do I actually want? Mike, I need 1,000 leads a month. I need them to cost less than $100 a piece because I know right now, if anything, my team will convert at 30%. Let's go to Facebook. I generate 100 Facebook leads. I can probably even get a hold of half of them. And then so out of those other 50, how many respond? How many fall into like my current cycle or my funnel? And this can work for any form of advertising, but I think just getting away from that mentality, no one's out to fuck you over. No one thought when they woke up this morning, give me a sec. No one thought when they left their house this morning, my first thought was I'm going to make Mike's life harder. That lady driving in the fast lane in her Kia minivan with the 8 cat stickers on the back going 57 miles an hour. She didn't leave her house like, I'm going to make Mike's life difficult so he's in his Porsche behind me having to go the speed limit. It's like people are living their lives just like us.
Yeah.
And if we can simply explain what we expect, what we want the result to be. Remember, this is just 9 to 5. This is just business. It's an exchange. It's a transaction. And I believe, especially in these home service industries, most marketing companies are just like roofing companies. This is a man or a woman that knew a little something, got rid of their job, went out, took the leap. I saw our buddy Tim Brown posted that thing from 9 years ago when they started. And you see, it's just like the roofing companies.
Yeah.
You're in the truck, you're doing estimates, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies. I think the empathy and the compassion for business owners, where it's just like, not, hey, we're all in this together and it's all hunky-dory and cupcakes and hand jobs the whole time, but just like, how much grace are you giving to someone when they fuck up? How much are you allowing to someone else to communicate what they're trying to provide and what their expectations are versus what yours are before you jump in bed together and start doing something?
Yeah, the not breaking in the baggage is such a huge thing because it typically manifests itself in a few ways. So firstly, this is what the situation I'm coming from. And by the way, this is what I expect. And you could say the same thing a lot of different ways. And so if you come to me and you're coming off as like crass, it's going to be frictionful. It's going to be like my team's going to be in a position where they feel like they have a gun to their head. I'm just not going to work with you. It's fine. And you look at, you'll be good without me. I'll be good without you. We'd be better together. But for me, my team having their peace and being able to do their job and enjoying what they do day to day is really important to me. Way more important than any deal is.
100%.
So if you have a potential good partner, it's likely going to turn them off. The other way that I see it manifest is down the road. You know, you could tell somebody, hey, it's going to take, if you're going to do SEO, don't expect anything like revenue wise as far as a result in the first year. Just don't. If you're going to run Google ads, if you're going to judge us on the first 2 months of performance, don't hire us or anybody else.
What's the response you usually get for that?
Absolutely. I trust you.
They trust you because you're...
And then a percentage of the time, it varies, that credit card hits for the third time.
What have you done for me lately?
This ain't working. Like, we just got through month 2 and you're in an SEO campaign. We talked about this. So it's easy for your past emotions to be triggered because it's the cues, right? It feels the same. It feels like the exact same thing that happened when you were at the other agency for 3 years and they told you the same thing. Yep. Hey, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Yep. It's like an atomic habit. So you have all these situations, all these different little cues that will trigger these habits or these reactions with you. And then those manifest by how you act, how you respond.
Sure.
So what can you do to change that? It's interesting to me. It's,
I think that a lot of times, you know, it's so easy as a business owner to just get stuck in the fuck, the reactive of the day to day. And because a lot of us come from adverse backgrounds, going through some shit, you know, most people, especially in the home service space, are not like corporate 9 to 5 people with the systems and the structures. We kind of figured out how to do a lot of this shit on our own. I think with that type of thinking, comes a reactive nature because so many of us are comfortable operating with our backs to the wall. Yeah. It's almost where we thrive. What we don't realize is as we get bigger, as we improve, as we grow, as we hire more people, the true glass ceilings are your personal development of being less reactive, of communicating better, of being a better manager. Because a lot of times what got us here won't get us there.
Facts. And those personal shortcomings that will inevitably come out within your business in different ways will be disproportionately more impactful when you 2x your revenue than when you 5x and then when you 10x. It is not a proportionate result, and they will become disproportionately impactful in a negative way. So it's incumbent upon us as owners to make sure that, one, we're aware, right? We pay attention, and two, to keep working on them. And some days will be better than others.
And you just got to give yourself a little grace. You know, a lot of times you think about the day-to-day of your business, and another thing that you can just pause and woosah and ask yourself real quick, am I making a 1-day decision, a 1-week decision, a 1-month decision? It's so easy to go like, what's my why? And go to the simplicity. Oh, I just want to spend more time with my kids. But like, until you get to that point where you're so removed that you can stay that focused, it's the accountability that you hold yourself to of like, am I just being a reactive fucking hothead all the time? And catching yourself before you get to that, wherever you want to go with it. Is it the previous version? Is it something you're working on? Like, no one's got to be perfect, but go to the Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality. It's not perfection. It's not being perfect. It's the strive. It's the work you do every day, the goal towards anyone that's ever done a race or set a goal or whatever it is. Crossing the finish line is cool. That feels good. But when you reflect back on the lessons, exactly. Yeah. Well, go to that too. I mean, everyone wants the view. They don't want to take the fucking hike.
See, I love the hike.
And it's what you learn on the hike that gives you the tools in your belt that when you get to the top, unless you're planning on selling your business December 31st, this shit isn't over.
Yeah.
And so those tools that you learn, those journeys you go on, the things you pick up from friends, from owners, from peers, from all of it, it's like, it's your responsibility to put that shit in your treasure chest and know when to pop that key in to get something. Because who wants to be in the same spot they were a year ago? Yeah. I don't.
Right.
And so until you make that decision that you're like, I'm cool here, I'm content. And for a lot of us, sadly, like, that's just never going to happen. So until you give yourself the permission, but that's for another conversation. I think it's like accountability is just so big. And as you're growing, it's just like, how accountable are you holding yourself as accountable as you're holding everyone else? Because I don't know about you, but I hold myself to pretty high standards.
Yeah.
And one of the things over my 15-year career that I've figured out is I had a problem. I still have a problem to this day, holding people to the same standards without communicating those expectations and then getting frustrated about them. So I just developed a little method.
Well, it starts with awareness, right? Because now if you're aware that I'm anemic here, I have this deficiency, I need to grow here, now you can start to put a plan together. And there's not a right answer for everybody. Like, everybody is different. So there's a perfect example of this. I was sitting with a contractor last night, and he's like, we're doing really good. We're doing good here, great here, great here. I need to figure out these drip campaigns. I obsess over these things. I said, objectively, I don't know if you're asking for advice, but I'm going to give you advice. And if you don't want to, just tell me no. My daughter taught me that. She's like, Dad, sometimes people just want you to listen. Yeah. She taught me that. It took me until I was 35 years old for a 15-year-old to tell me that for it to
Beautiful.
Hit. Wild.
Beautiful.
So I was like, but I'm going to give you the advice if you want. He's like, yeah, sure. I said, what I would do if I were you is I would create a 1-month, a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 12-month strategy for your drip campaign. Whether you use ChatGPT, you engineer it yourself, you pay for an SOP from somebody, fine. Understand what you want the expectation to be as far as a result. Now, being that you're somebody who obsesses, and I can empathize with that because I tend to obsess, stick to that fucking plan. Don't deviate from it whatsoever. Now you have 12 months of data. You can look at the iterations you made. You can look at the impact and whatever your leading indicators are, your KPIs that you think are important to your business. There's also ways you can find help with that. Take a look at those. What impacted what? Now you just keep making it better. You have a baseline of data, and it's not it's not spurious in the sense where the data doesn't matter because it's a small sample size or it's not random. You're dealing with a 12-month swath of data that is a true reflection of what's going on with your business based on output A generates input B, vice versa, right?
Quick shout out to our boy Ethan from Andy's Roofing, I'm guessing is the... My man.
That's my guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a good thought. You hear about AI, you just to expand on this. Like, so you're a business owner and you see a lot of other people have something figured out. Their email drips are on point, their texts are on point, they're using AI, they're doing some shit. You're like, man, I should be doing this better. But then you get into this obsessive nature of like, do I pay someone? Do I do this? How do I give myself permission to cause this? And a lot of times it's just like, you got to realize like, no one's got anything figured out.
Shoot the fucking ball.
That's it. That's it.
You're down 5. There's 38 seconds left. You got to shoot the ball. You got to foul. Hope they miss the free throws and go get another bucket.
And so it's just like...
And if you lose, that's okay.
Giving yourself and the people around you permission to fuck up.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you get something wrong?
Try again.
Does it usually get worse or better?
It depends.
The effort you put in.
Yeah.
And so when we look at like, I have this problem I'm trying to fix. So I'm smart like Ethan. I'm going to go ask some people that half know what they're talking about to get some advice so that a decision can be made. What's interesting with success is as we acquire more fun coupons, you think you can just buy the solutions.
Yeah.
No, it's just more fucking expensive and you're going to get played even worse than when you were broke. It hits harder when it's like, so I like to say like, you know, a business owner can tolerate a certain price of something and it's usually their average ticket. So like a power washing business owner will spend $600 on anything because that's a job.
Right.
A roofing business owner might be a little more apt to spend 5 to 10 grand to try something because they know if that happens 3 times and I'm running a 30% margin, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about how you allocate your minutes, your most valuable currency versus your dollars, I'm telling you this I've been in business for 15 years. I've owned 4 companies. I've been involved in the buying and selling of a couple of them. When you're operating at this higher level, it's just more zeros and the shit's just more expensive and everyone's the fucking same.
I got one more thing to piggyback off your last statement. Time, your most valuable currency. I've subscribed to that theory for a long time.
Amen.
I recently was listening to a book. I think it's important I say that I didn't read the book because I didn't fucking read it. I listened to it. And for me, it's important that you guys know that. I'm not going to say I read the book.
Self-awareness is key.
Yeah. Some people say that doesn't matter. But for me, it just feels like I'm lying. You didn't sit down and read the book, Mike. It's impossible for me to do. Anyhow, I digress. I'm listening to this book. It's on Audible. I think 10x is easier than 2x. And they argue, I forget what the theory is called, but attention is your most valuable currency because your attention will directly impact what you get out of the time that you have. Your focus and the quality of the return that you're getting off that time based on that focus will make a massive impact. And I said, that fucking makes sense.
So is it how much of your attention you're giving something?
Not only how much, not the volume, but the quality of attention, your focus as it relates to the time that you're dedicating in task A, task B, task C. Because if you could do 17 tasks in a day, 17% each, and it's all going to be fucking garbage. And you spent the time, you spent the resource, but because you weren't locked in, it wasn't dialed, it wasn't fine tuned, you're not getting any return on the time that you're investing. Or nowhere near you is the same as if you were to do 100%, do over 5 days, get 5 tasks done at 100%. Your return on your time is going to be significantly higher because it was focused.
It's an interesting thought. So I wasn't listening to it, but when I say reading, it wasn't a book. I think it was like an Instagram post or something on one of the news feeds. They were talking about output and the value of output. So there was this study that one of the hardest working jobs in the country, in the US, is like a deli worker in New York. The 8 to 10 hour grind that you put in, the people that you deal with, the hustle, the bustle, imagine you're a deli worker
67
in Times Square. Like how busy is that?
Yeah.
And that person, how exhausted are they after their shift? How much work have they been in? How tired are they? How mind numbing is that?
Yeah,
but what was the output of that work? Like, did the world change because how many sandwiches were made? And I don't mean to downplay that position or that role or how hard those people work, but this article was comparing it to like the minutes that a CEO, a high-level CEO, I think the CEO, I think it was like Target or something, getting paid $17 million this year. Do you think that guy's working harder than the guy in the deli? like the output of that work, the focus that that individual has. I think there are times where the deli worker is working harder.
Sure.
But that the output of that focused work, or why the money is there for an individual who literally might be working less minutes and not as grueling.
It's the leverage.
The output is higher.
Right.
And so I don't know if that completely relates to what you were saying, but it's
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because, like, you know, a stat that's important to understand, or a number, I say it's a lot, is 1440. It's how many minutes you have in the day. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to shit, you got to spend time with your family. So let's say you got 16, 18 of them, you know, waking hours, and then you take them away. To our friend Ethan, what do you focus on getting better at? You know, like, are you trying to solve that problem yourself? Where the advice I gave him was like, you need to get into ChatGPT. You need to say, I'm a roofing owner. I'm looking to build out a 52-week drip for our leads that come in. Here are some of the benefits of our business. Here's some of our unique differentiators. Here's, in this market, we're in 2 states.
Here's our reviews.
Write the shit, ChatGPT. And look, guys, until 3 months ago, I couldn't fucking spell AI. Like, I'm not the guy saying the whole world should run off this stuff. It's going to. But it's like, how do you simply, let's go back to what we started the conversation on. How do you steal like an artist? You see everyone else doing something, but give yourself the permission to put that initial work and that focus in. It doesn't need to be perfect,
right?
But you're putting in an input that the output is going to be greater. I'll relate it to this. So I told you, like, we work with marketing agencies internally at Doe.
Yeah.
I ran Facebook ads for like 6-7 years before I got into direct mail and any of that stuff. So I know how to get into Facebook and make it do its thing. The way I collaborate with the company that runs our Facebook ads, and they just told me this last week, they're like, Dave, it's kind of hard to work with you. You have high expectations. Thankfully, you communicate them. But having the business owner involved in the part that they're good at, I can write better copy for our business than any marketing agency, not because I'm the best copywriter.
Because you know it better.
You know what the fuck is going on all day.
Right.
And so when you think about, like, what information, if you're keeping something on your plate or you're delegating it, are you providing the information up here that only you have? If you're going to pass out, give up that control to let someone else do that output. It just all kind of ties it together. Like, if I want to get what I know that I want, first, am I communicating that? Am I laying out expectations? But then am I contributing on the level to give it the best result? What I found through the last 2 years, when we started, you know, those zeros add up and we start paying people bigger dollars to do these things, it's like, just because I paid someone more doesn't mean I have to be less involved. And a lot of times we don't consider that. Think about your biggest clients as a roofing company, that huge job, Eric, the job you did for 80 grand, the custom thing, like all that stuff. Were you more or less involved in that job? Probably more, because you want to make sure it goes right. And so when you think about, like, the ability to delegate your most valuable currency, which is your minutes, let's go back to hiring the marketing company. Because you're going to this 5th version of your favorite ex-girlfriend, are you saying,
barely got to type,
I'm going to pay Mike more than these last guys, and he's talking the talk, he's going to do it right, but I already did all this 4 times, so I'm not going to lay out the time or give the information or be as involved in the onboarding, when you should probably change that mentality. I got to commit to put in more than I ever did into this one because it's on me. That
we're not just the girl that you could disappear, go on your boys' trips and buy us a bag and everything's okay.
Dude, if you want a one-night stand, go buy fucking leads.
That's what I mean.
And it's there. That is a great avenue for any business to grow, but it's a different level of accountability, because what you and I do for a living, if you look on our websites, it doesn't say, I'm selling you leads for this much.
Yeah.
We are marketing your business. We are branding your business. We are advertising your business. And because we're in a contractual agreement, we're going to do this for a year together. I got to delegate my knowledge, my team's knowledge, everything that we've done and built to get us to this point. We're going to this investment together. Yeah. I just need your help to get us there.
I mean, we promised a banger, and I think this fell nothing short of an absolute banger. And I'm interested in your feedback. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Drop the feedback in the comments. Share it with somebody that this will help. Appreciate you guys. Dave, appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate the team at Roofer for help making this happen. We out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.